I'm the Northern Alex.
I'm Fabian from Aerosoft.
And this is NextSim 21. And this was just a small peek of what's ahead over here.
And we've got our first guest here today, Bernie from Vienna from TramSim. Welcome, first of all. And we're talking about TramSim again, but in a different way, I would say. You guys changed a lot up, and it's not TramSim anymore.
Exactly. A lot happened the last year. So it's not TramSim anymore, it's TramSim Vienna. And that has a simple reason, because we decided to work on a new city, on the beautiful city that's Munich in Germany.
So TramSim is coming over the border.
Exactly.
You finally crossed the border, coming over to Germany. And yeah, what does it mean?
What does it mean? Well, we're building a new city, Munich. We are working on getting the same grade of detail that is Vienna, just for Munich. So that means one-to-one scale the buildings in Vienna. The vehicle that's driving that is called the R22B, which is the model GT6, which is everywhere in Germany. It's a beautiful vehicle, and so much more, really.
So, new tram.
The detail of the city will be the same as in Vienna then?
Exactly. We're researching a lot, we are taking so many photos, and we are working on getting the same grade as Vienna. So if you play the simulation, the idea is that you believe that you are actually in Munich. The same with Vienna. Our grade of quality, that's important to us.
Which also always is again important to everybody that plays this from North America, because it is just so different. The sizes of the streets, the closeness of the tracks to the houses, the amount of people that is just insane if you see all the differences. And it's great to see that you capture this in this detail.
But it's not just a new tram. A new city will bring new routes. Tell us, which new routes will we have? And are they famous? Because I guess you guys are just not taking a simple route. It must be something special about it.
So the past year we've listened a lot to the community, and one of the things the community always said is we want more content, we want more routes.
Definitely.
And so we decided to do 3 instead of 1. The lines 27, 28 and 23. 27, 28 starting from the Sendlinger Tor to Scheidplatz and Petulienring, if I remember correctly, and 23 is up there as well. Beautiful routes, a lot to do, many ways of going through
right
the
in
city.
the center
Right
of
in
Munich.
the center of Munich, the inner city. It's gorgeous. It really, really is.
And we have to say, Munich is one of the beautiful cities of Germany.
And a very iconic city, for everybody.
So new route, new tram. But what is happening through trams in Vienna? Will we still work on that one? And what is the benefit actually for you guys doing that? Building a platform, I would call it.
Yeah, so we are not leaving trams in Vienna left aside. We are not done with it. We are not saying, okay, we've done that and whatever, now it's Munich. No, we are actually building on top of that, and we are kind of continuing, everything we do in Munich that's not very Munich specific, like buildings or something, is also happening in Vienna.
For example, weather.
For example, weather. For example, people in wheelchairs.
Yes, that's something really, really special.
Exactly.
I can't, Alex, can you recall any simulator, public transport simulator, which helps wheelchair driver or handicapped people, basically?
Not offhand.
It's actually not just wheelchair driver, it's also blind people. There will come support for blind people at the stops. That's crazy. That's personally, I felt like that's a huge step forward in simulation.
Exactly, because in Munich, especially, I think the line 23 is actually very regular. That people, handicapped people, go by tram. So we wanted to show that as well. And this is a thing that shouldn't come only from Munich. So we decided to do it for Vienna as well.
So will you have the differences captured? I know in Vienna the method is just more manual than on the more modern.
Isn't it you have to pull with
the lever?
Exactly.
Okay.
The driver has to get up. He has to get in front of. Has to pull it push away the people, pull out the hatch, the wheel
For the ramp.
Yeah, exactly. And in Munich, it's a bit more automatic. There's like a button here, just has to press, and there's a ramp that's going down. Wheelchair goes up there, ramp is going back up.
And
he's
that's
up on
all
the tram.
simulated.
It's all simulated. It's all animated. It's what you would expect.
Yeah, so it's just
So it's once again, even in Munich, you will have all the buttons work inside
Yes.
the tram.
Everything, all the buttons, all the doors. It's driving correctly. Like the R2B or the GT6 in reality has this very special way of driving, how it takes curves, and all of that we are like looking at it. We are really, really trying to get real, right? Realistic. So yeah.
So I think one of the questions that might be in a lot of people's minds right now is, it's not really your first contact with Munich as View app.
No,
it isn't. There was a product before, and I was going through that. And we first should mention it's not a DLC.
It's not a DLC. It's a full title.
Yeah.
There's a lot of content going in there. It's a new city, so it was a natural move.
Yeah,
doing it as a
but
full
also
title.
we've got discounts ready for people who bought Vienna before, because
Exactly.
we don't want you to pay for same code over again. But it gives you simply the choice. Hey, I'm from Germany. I would love to visit Munich. I will go for Munich first. I might buy Vienna later, so we've got bundles and so on. So people will save quite a lot. But as Alex said,
I really think also North American people will be like, Munich, Oktoberfest, yes, I want to
definitely
be there.
that's a feature request.
Oh yes, but yes, we did Munich in some way or form already, and so we kind of built something for the community that people that love Munich, and we are not forgetting those people. So we have a 75% discount for all the people that have the Lotus add-on of Munich. So
and it's actually super easy for them. They don't need to do anything. They can buy the game via Steam. It should be just the Lotus add-on needs to be on their Steam library, and after the checkout you get the discount. Nothing more is needed. No emails or something like that.
super simple, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
just
it's just that. It's just that.
just like that.
There's not much to say about it, right?
But also there's another thing happening to TramSim. Until now, I did launch TramSim and I actually popped in the main menu. But there will be something different starting with this platform movement.
So there's this thought of a platform, right? It's TramSim Vienna, it's TramSim Munich. It's like this TramSim ecosystem.
I was actually hoping he's spawning a new city. It was like, it's TramSim Munich, it's TramSim Vienna, and it's TramSim. But it's not a new city. No, it's TramSim.
It's kind of the platform that is TramSim, right? The ecosystem that is TramSim. So we decided to create a launcher as well that kind of unifies all of that, where you can see like the titles, the different DLCs you have. You can just start it out of there. So you start, you start, for example, TramSim Vienna, and the launcher will pop out. So you will have the news, and then you start the title. You get right into the title you want to play, and there's this unified thought.
Mentioning the DLCs. The benefit of going into this platform movement is that TRAM DLCs might, not everyone, but some of them will work in the different cities.
Exactly, like let's call it a non-city specific DLCs. For the vehicles we do, all of them, they will work everywhere, right? So if you want to go with the Flex City in Munich, you can do so. If you want to go with the R22B in Vienna, you can do so as well.
There's no need to rebuy or something like that.
Exactly.
And will the textures work between the cities as well? So you can basically make your own textures like you did with Vienna?
Yes, it's completely repaintable, especially for a vehicle that is so far spread in Germany. That's important to us because if you want to have it look like in Berlin, for example, you can do that.
Oh, it's just like throwing balls around here for information. Because damn, speaking about the repaints, actually there will be something in the launcher later down the road.
There will be a showroom.
Yeah.
There will be a showroom. You can look at every detail of the vehicle. You can experiment with repaints. You can really enjoy the
So
trams.
Without having to load the game every time.
without
having
having
to
to load
load.
the game. It's also beneficial for settings, for example. I'm not
Oh, yeah.
hassling around with settings here, settings there.
Exactly.
It's one platform, you set them once and they're saved all across these platforms.
Exactly.
Well,
Really making this user friendly.
yeah.
Oh yes, that's the fault. It's
Um,
everything simple, everything a single platform, and everything as gorgeous as you would expect from
Yeah,
us.
I think there's so much more down the road of TramSim. It's just the beginning, and I'm really excited what will come up next. Thanks, Bernie, for joining us. And we're going to see the next simulator now.
And now for some oversized and heavy news with Martin.
Hi.
Hi. What do you got for us today? Which title?
I got heavy cargo for you today.
And it's all about big trucks, as we just seen in the trailer. So tell us a bit more. We saw many different trucks from many different brands. What will the game actually cover?
We have the both makes you know from OTR. So
Yeah.
at the moment we can say there's Scania has MAN again, but this time with, of course, the bigger chassis. So there these heavy cargo or oversized load chassis are with 4 axles, maybe even 5 axles, and of course some oversized trailers, modular trailers, flatbeds. We have a different collection of adapters for the trailers. For example, there are special constructions to hold wind tower segments, or
Yeah, for sure you need different trailers actually
yeah.
to load them.
or for example for the rotor blades. They are
Which are
different
crazy
adapters.
long.
Yeah, they are. This is absolutely insane. We just said at a point we said, okay, we concentrate on maximum mid-sized rotor blades, because they are, from time to time, they are transporting blades. They are 100 meters long, and this on our roads could be a bit critical to pack it actually into a game, because our roads are different than yours in Canada.
Yeah, that would even be on a Canadian road pretty challenging to get a 300-foot
Possibly.
blade from A to B.
Possibly, yeah.
So we've got the trucks, but what is it all about? Is it about driving these trucks? I'm just the employee. I have my truck. I'm going straight forward, or is there more behind the whole thing? For especially, we've been talking about the road. Let's get a bit deeper into the road planning and adjustments.
Yeah, there are some aspects in the game around all this typical truck driving. One of the major changes, I'd say, in the meta game compared to on the road was to say, okay, it's not possible to, or it wouldn't make any sense to start a completely new company, because there's so many different vehicles. So we said you are an employee of our technical partner, I'd say Universal Transport from Paderborn here, quite a big moving company for oversized loads. So you start as a beginner driver with some little bit bigger vehicles, and then you gain experience. You get more experienced drivers, so you get the bigger trucks, the bigger loads. This is one aspect. Next one is, of course, pilot vehicles. So with the license of MAN, we were able to integrate the MAN TGE, which is a sprinter-sized van from,
Which is often used here in German,
Yeah.
which is quite
Yeah.
common as a pilot.
it's common. Yeah. Unfortunately, we are not able at the moment to show many of these new vehicles. We have only some pre-renders because many of them are not ready yet, and several, I'd say, spare parts like beacon lights and stuff.
Yeah.
So
many of them
add-on
are
parts.
or add-on parts are currently not ready. So
Yeah,
you-
by far the footage
yeah,
we're
yeah.
showing is not final
Right,
or
right.
anything. It's
This-
quite early game
it's,
footage.
it's really early. So I think that heavy moving fans will easily recognize that there are beacon lights missing, that we have still the typical standard truck front bumpers. So for the heavy cargos, they have for at least most of them have different type of front bumper and these coupling in the front for the heavy cargo trailers.
Mhm.
This is quite a different thing, and of course we have a lot of new gameplay because there must be differences between both games, even though they are saplings. You will see it clearly now in the trailer, but we are currently at the stage starting to overhaul all our assets. This is a tedious process, but it's already in the making. So you will see on later screenshots or footage, we'll see much more clear difference between both projects.
So you very, you briefly alluded to planning of routes and whatnot. Maybe a little bit more as to what goes into planning of those routes. I mean, obviously you have to look at bridge sizes probably, but is there more to it for getting the transport from A to B?
Yes, the idea was to adapt our already existing systems. So we have very complex route planning and on the road as well. So we just said, okay, from on the road we had combining different routes into one big one. Now we need to plan routes around obstacles. So you can drive around with the TGE or with the pilot vehicle and spot bridges and say okay, or measure them and say, well, no, this won't work. The clearance is way too low. We need to find a way around. Well, this is part of the route planning.
So I'm not doing that while driving the other trucks. This is like something. This is something like a complete standalone mode, I would call it.
Yeah.
You can
A separate task.
you can simply anytime jump in this pilot car, go spots the word for emergency spots basically, which could be kind of hard to get through, and then you can take a picture, measure it, whatever, and mark them on your map.
Yeah, they are marked on the map. So you can add them to your planning or avoiding them in your planning. This is the idea of the route planning itself. Then we are working at basically two different sets of missions. So you have these, they are oversized, but they don't need much preparation. Maybe need just only a pilot vehicle or some beacon lights to say, yeah, we are just a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step is a collection of, I'd say, scripted missions where you have the complete route preparation. We are talking about turning the traffic lights around, cutting off road signs.
Maybe this is putting up supports or stuff like that for bridges and.
They have sometimes something like ramps for the sidewalk borders, so they can hop on and without ruining the wheels. We have already in the making sort of like a hydraulic driven bridge. We just take a crane and pack it on top of the bridge to distribute the load for actually not ruining the bridge.
Now you kind of said something there that I want to pick up on, and that is you were mentioning the load system that you have on the road, and that is really a system that I found from feedback that I got on videos, that is a system that really is not known to many people because it feels almost like it throws you too quickly into too much. Is there a different approach with the oversized?
Yes,
loads?
because we know that one of the biggest mistakes, I'd say, in the user experience of on the road was, oh yeah, we have these cool features, but we don't tell you how to use them. So the idea was this time that you start with have a more clear user progression. We start in an easier point and get a lot of more tutorials. So you're getting used to all the functions in the game step by step.
Moving you from the easy to the more difficult.
Yeah, and this time it's a complete approach because on the road, you can buy after a couple of hours, I'd say, a drawbar trailer, and those are really hard to handle, but it's your decision. In heavy cargo, it's you are unlocking these vehicles, and it's getting difficult more and more by unlocking. And you also said, you mentioned road wides. We said, okay, packing heavy cargo into on the road or the map of on the road, this would be overkill. Possibly it wouldn't even make much fun because it's already hard to drive on several state roads. So we decided to make the roads a bit wider and set up a completely new map. It's clearly German, I'd say, from the styling, but it's not Germany. So it's a fictionist map. It's very condensed because we also wanted to shorten some of the parts of such a route. I mean, they can be fast on a highway, but they can also need 8 hours to progress 1 kilometer.
Yeah.
So we needed to shorten that a bit. And we also said, okay, let's start at the coast because it's flat, it's even, so it's comparatively easy to drive. But then you progress to the Midlands, so you get more slope, hairpins, and progress to even, I'd say, almost Alpine. So we have also this progression
of different terrains,
yeah,
from
yeah,
easy
yeah,
terrain,
and
flattened
more-
terrain,
Right.
to up into the mountains. I would call it.
with
Definitely, it will
switchbacks
be
and
more
all that
challenging. Yeah.
fun stuff. That being said, one question that just came into my mind was with the oversized transports that I know you sometimes have also steerable rear axles on long trailers to negotiate the turns. Will that be something that you simulate?
We are working at both systems, I'd say. There's the automatic steering axles. They are mainly controlled by the angle between the truck and the actual trailer. And we have those manual steering, but before you ask, it's a single player game. So it's actually...
You can read my mind.
it's actually your job as well to control these axles. Doing this by a comparatively simple system. When you are working with such heavy loads, you are very slow. So it's easily possible to actually lock the speed of the tractor unit. Let's say it's running at 3 kilometers per hour, and you switch back with the camera and start controlling the back of the transport to get it around. So.
One last question, Martin. Tell us a bit more about the loading. Will I load my delivery, or is it all automated?
There was a small hint in the second last question. Yes, we thought it might be a cool thing when you're transporting a tractor, for example, or an excavator, and we have already the system running that you can get out of the truck and, for example, fuel it up. So it was, oh yeah, cool. So we should make it possible to actually switch vehicles. So now you can load it by yourself. So you're switching to the vehicle and load it by yourself on the trailer. And there are obviously loads like concrete parts not moving by themselves. So yeah, we created a very cool working test bed for cranes. So cranes are working and cranes are being part of the actual emissions. So you can operate them not just turning around and moving the hook up and down. It's also setting up the supports. So there's a lot of functionality for the cranes already working. Now we are bringing them back into, not back, we are bringing them in the game right now. Currently they are just in a separate test bed to test how this all works. It already makes a lot of fun, but it looks a bit crappy, I'd say, because it's just on a flat, dull concrete plane, and we can test around there. So.
Yeah. Before we moving to our last questions, which a kind of older project, I need to ask you one thing. Is there any plans of a release date already?
Yes, we have.
And on platforms?
Yeah. The current plan, but I must be honest, I mean, we don't know how the situation evolves out there. We are right in the middle of the pandemic. The current plan is first quarter next year for the PC. And then we will bring also the console versions. So the porting will start a bit earlier this time, because as I stated earlier, it's some sort of discipling of OTR, so some porting stuff has already been done. We can't promise at the moment that we can support last gen like PS4 and the older Xboxes, because there's a lot of more calculations going on. Because our driving physics is scaling up by axles, but obviously it's getting more and more resource intense, so we need to test that. This will be a tough thing, but we will see next year.
Talking about tough things,
On the road.
on the road. What is happening to on the road, and are you going to still support the project? Are you going to drop it? Give us.
Abandon it.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the last one?
Oh, I said, are you going to abandon it? Because I know this is going to be a question. You have a new game. Are you going to run
Yeah.
away from it?
No, obviously we won't abandon it. There's a reason why both projects are, yes, as I said,
Based on the same platforms.
yeah, based on the same kind of backend, because we want to support them both. I mean, OTR is running very well at the moment, and there's still a lot of stuff we can add. And
You guys definitely should add also,
Yeah.
especially for console people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on. Wheel support is in
real
the
support.
work.
It's been a very long task. We are not even allowed to talk about the details. It's like you guys know NDAs. But yeah, there's a bright,
Yeah.
a bright little spot at the horizon that this is going to work comparatively soon. Now there is a solution, and next thing is there are many aspects you can switch between both games. Let's say for the current patch for OTR, we added radio, we added a steering cam, something people asked for a lot. So yeah, obviously we're packing it into heavy cargo, so we get it at release time. The other hand, for heavy cargo, we needed actually a more better visible system for the loads. So when I pack load X on my trailer, I need to see it there. So after this system worked, we said, oh, cool, yeah, I mean, container trailers, something
They
like
are
the
a
same.
thing. They are a thing.
They are exactly the same. So put the system back and pack container trailers in the next update for OTR. So this is the idea to progress both projects while...
It really feeds off each other in a way and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
helps the progress of both games.
Yeah, right. And the second point was, after the success of On the Road, we were able to actually increase the team size. So we have now more people working at it, and they are just switching things between both projects as soon as they are ready. So there's this core team working at heavy cargo, there's this supporting team working at On the Road, and as soon as the On the Road team says, hey, we have this cool thing here, we say, okay, yeah, pack it back. And so it works in the other way around, like the containers and like you asked, I think at the beginning about makes, new truck brands and stuff. It's as usually a total licensing thing. Yeah, I could call it an issue. But more brands are actually in the making. We will release them or give some information about later this year, and they are working for both projects as well. So obviously I won't take the heavy cargo chassis and pack it into OTR. This wouldn't make any sense. But when the cabins and the cockpits are ready, so the rest is sort of minor workload. So we can switch them between both as well.
Great news.
So overall, great news for everybody and exciting news. Thank you, Martin, for your time.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. And with these great news for truck fans, we go to a very hot topic in more than one way. And with us here now on the hot seat is Carsten from Credit Software with emergency call 112. And I am going to ask the hard questions first. What happened with one, or what's going to happen?
Yes, the release was really a disaster. It was very painful for us, for the players, and the question is why. And to find an answer, we have to look back. We start a playtest in December last year, and we see that we have 2-3 really big issues,
Yes,
really
major
big
issues.
problems. And but we are hopefully that we can fix it, and we know that we have a lot of small bugs inside the game, and the problem is that we spend too much time for the big problems, and it was too late that we switched to the small problems because we can't fix it. It was these are problems inside the engine. The first problem was the performance bug.
Yeah.
On really expensive graphic cards, it's really weird. They have frame drops from 16 down to 5 FPS randomly.
Yeah. Which we can recreate either.
That's the one. And the other problem is with Radeon graphic card drivers and normal shaders. For example, the infravision camera inside the game doesn't work, and so on. And yeah, that's the problem. The strategy maybe is better to fix first the small problems, so that you have a very good game flow. And yeah, we can't fix the big problems. And
we couldn't. We
couldn't, yes.
After a while, we contact Unity to jump in.
Yes, we need professional help and support from Unity. We pay a lot of money, and they help us really, and they find a workaround for us. And overnight, we have grew up the FPS from 60 to 120 FPS on my computer, and we are really happy that we can fix this problem. The other problem with the Radeon graphic cards we can't fix because it's a driver problem. We have waiting for Radeon that they release a new driver. And so
I think we should also talk about the timelines, because in North America, retail in box stores
doesn't
is
exist.
dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore. And
Yeah.
I think it's important that we talk about the more special part about distributing games in Europe, where you still have a very strong base for box versions.
Yeah,
Yes.
physical versions are still a big thing in Europe, all over Europe, especially in German. Going out with a German firefighting simulator, I mean, imagine to sell the most stuff in German, or German-speaking countries, and this actually did hit us kind of hard while being in a really tough situation all around the world, and it didn't help us. And
Yes.
there's like a point of no return, Carsten.
Yes,
Maybe you can
there's
explain a bit more.
So 4 or 5 weeks before you release, there's a point of no return, because the box are going to the factory, and it is a big disaster when you couldn't buy the box and on Steam is no version. Yeah? And we think, oh, we can fix it, it's no problem, but we can't fix it, and that was the problem, that we can't go back. Only digital release, it's very easy to say, okay, we move the release in the future.
You can delay an hour before releasing. I mean, it's just pushing one button, but if the boxes are out in stores,
It's done.
at retail partners, at Amazon and so on, there's no way around shipping the game in whatever you got.
Yes, that's
So there was
the
really
key problem.
Yeah, there's with the box release, I guess there is just no way around it. You have to be on time,
Yes.
and that's, I think, really something. Yeah, we
I
have
wa-
to emphasize
I
why
was-
it happened.
I was not amused, but shit happens.
Yeah,
Shit
exactly.
happens.
We only
We
can
move on.
looking. Yes, we can only looking in the future.
We can
And-
apologize for sure. That's what we did more than once, and that's why we want to make sure that emergency simulator will have a strong platform and will build up with future add-ons and stuff like that.
Yes.
But talking about the future, it might be a good thing to jump in and drop the old things behind, looking into the bright future. What you've got.
But maybe one word
Yeah.
to the what we do now is that new content and bug fixing is daily business at the moment. And I think in 3, 4, 5 weeks we can start to produce some new stuff, really new stuff, and that is what we talk about.
Yeah, exactly. To add one thing on your side, there's still a lot of new missions inside of the games which are disabled right now. While doing these bug fixes, you're going to enable then like rooftop fires, as well as some
More technical help and
car accident missions will come as well. Besides the new stuff we now talk about.
What's new?
what's new. The first is that we make a volunteer firefighter DLC for free for the users, and it's a second apartment inside the game, and it's on the other side of the map. And you can choose in the main menu. You can choose which kind I want to play, the free or the professional firefighters, and you have an avatar inside the game, and you can run around, and then you.
So it really it catches the whole volunteer part of, well, you are a volunteer, you might be a bricklayer for all we care, and
Yes.
and you get your call out, you, I assume, go to the station,
Genau.
get dressed for success, and jump on the engine and go.
Yeah, switch, go into the car, in the car, and going to the mission. And we are working hard on a design document, and I can't say exactly what kind of missions we release with the DLC. Our highest goal is that you can combine the free with the volunteer firefighters in one mission, so that they supported professionals.
So it really
It's a call out. It's an assistant call out, I would call it. Yeah.
And you basically
The professional
there
is firefighting, and
interaction.
the volunteers are making the water supply, for example.
So will the voluntary firefighting have different vehicles, or will they have the same
Yeah,
vehicle?
they have different vehicles. They have other cars and vehicles and trucks.
So that's one thing coming for free. Moving on the timeline. I mean, Carsten, you've got a pack full of news for us today.
Okay.
So we're keeping it short on topic. What's next?
The next is at the moment you have a small police car. It was a giveaway for the
Owners of the old one, yeah.
exactly. And what we do is we make a police DLC for a small price. And what you can do is you can play the police. In Germany, it's so that they work hand in hand, firefighters and the police, and they have some missions where they have Überschneidung.
Yeah, they support each other basically.
Yes, exactly. And you can do the job from a policeman.
Okay.
Driving wrong. Yeah.
So basically,
So just really police work, or just like closing a road, making sure that
no, both.
Both.
We also got the new police station in the video, as you already seen. It's a complete new vehicle, way more
with
details
full
and
clickable buttons and
as you would expect
with
from an
assets.
emergency simulator. But now you can take over the role of a policeman and actually can do the supportive work. Maybe I think we're going a bit deeper than we did before, like the closing of a road might get more gameplay materials than just close the roads. That's it.
what we
for
do
them.
is this is serious. No shooting,
Yeah.
no violence. It's
It might
the
be
actual routine work of an officer, because
of a
you
German
don't shoot
officer.
every day.
Yeah, especially of a German officer, because the regulations in Germany are way higher than I guess all around the world for policemen, and it's more like giving out tickets. There might be a stolen bike or missions like that.
yes. That's it.
Moving forward,
Moving forward.
supportive volunteer, firefighter, police. What's next?
Next is that we think about the iOS and Android store, and that we make a new mobile game. This is in Granitic we have two parts. The one part is develop the PC games, and the other part is making mobile games. And they have a little bit time, and we're thinking about a new mobile game. And there we are in the brainstorming phase, and thinking what can we do from augmented reality or open world, or the same in better.
Yeah. How cool, for example, how cool would it be if we could pull out our mobile,
augmented reality.
point at the tables in front of us and starting to get them on fire and select the right tools to shut down the fire. But this is really based on, I guess, on community feedback. We are in the planning phase right now. We are not sure which direction this title should move, and we are happy for feedback.
Do you think it's going to be more moving into the direction of premium game where you actually have to pay to get it initially, or are you going to go into the
This is my
ad
choice, and
base?
I say premium.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate advertisements. I hate in-apps in the game. I think
Thank
here
heavens.
It won't be a big
€2
deal.
or
Yeah.
$1,
It might
and
be a 2 bucket thing, yeah.
this is what you get, and all is fine.
Yeah, but even a small price is better than having ads pop up every 2 seconds.
But
So-
even Carsten is not stopping here,
This is-
I guess, today.
You have many news for us.
Yeah, and we have a rescue unit, RTV, and there is the car where the doctor is driving, and we make a complete new car, and I think there's a reason why there are so many details inside the cars, and I think that we in this direction thinking.
So we're
And
looking
develop-
towards something more detailed on the EMS side of
Yeah.
things, and to that, just for the viewers in North America that don't know the dual system, Germany has a system that is called the dual system in EMS, which is interchanging between paramedics and doctors.
Yeah.
We don't have doctors that go out in cars, so that is something very normal that you have a doctor come in a small, more mobile car, NEF, and support with medical and more invasive life supporting
Life-saving
measures. Yeah,
missions, yeah.
so it's
And-
And then when we look in the future more and more, and then maybe there are the rescue units with the blue cars,
Yeah,
the technical help,
THW.
THW.
which is a federal organization. Yeah, it's hard to.
It's hard
well,
to
in a way,
explain.
it's civil protection,
Yeah,
really.
it's right, civil
Yes,
protection and so on.
In
Basic-
Germany, they all work together, and maybe in the future we have a world of emergency.
Yeah, so basically big plans, but right now
Small steps.
small steps, one step after another. You
Yes.
don't want to trap into the same
No.
mistakes
Never-
you did
never
before.
again.
I think in short time people can expect more to hear about the police, more to hear about the voluntary firefighters, and the mobile thing if we get great ideas.
Yes, and follow us on our Discord. And there we spread the news
information.
and the informations and what we do and pictures and
Yeah.
some small movie clips, and we ask the people, what do you think? And we need the information, and we work with the community together. That is really important. And
I would call it a journey, actually. It's not like you've got emergency simulator, here it is, that's what you get, take it and play it for X amount of time. It's a real journey. Be part of the journey, or wait till a later point till you want to join this journey.
And I think just to really sum it up again, because it was a lot of information in a short period of time, but I think the biggest takeaways here are that A, development is ongoing, you learn from mistakes, we move on. B, we have the paid DLC with police action coming, and then of course the big one, free DLC for you with a volunteer fire department. In that being said, is there anything more that you can think
you
of?
forget the mobile game.
The mobile game?
Yeah, but
Yeah, but that was just the highlights. I think that we should really.
wrap it up, and I think
We can stop here because it's a lot of
from
work for
from
us.
heating up with many topics, we should cool down a bit.
So thank you, Carsten. And from fire, we go directly to ice. And now we are jumping into something more exciting here on Winter Resort Simulator. Hi, Max.
Hi.
Max, we saw some crazy footage. What's happening to Winter Resort Simulator? Ski jumping?
Yeah, we have some new content right for the beginning of the new skiing season. You're right, it's a completely new kind of sport that we're introducing to the game. It's about ski jumping, and there's this ski jumping ramp which will be a part of a free DLC which will be free to all players of Winter Resort Simulator Season 2.
So 3 new content, that sounds already
great.
You already sold it to people, I guess. No more questions. Have a great one.
Yeah.
No, but what is it about? Will it be part of my ecosystem, which is quite important in Winter Resort Simulator? What are the jobs to do? It's a ski jumping area?
It's more about the first person part about ski jumping. So you're not the athlete yourself. That's important to say. But you are kind of the person responsible for managing the whole event. So you are responsible for various deliveries and other missions right around the facility. You're also responsible for grooming the slope kind of at the landing site. And there's a couple of new gameplay related things also that make this DLC really fun to play. Also, as we've seen in the footage, there's this funicular at one side of the facility, which you can actually use, so you can ride it, and you can also use it for transporting new stuff.
Oh, that's
So
great.
quite a bit of new content there.
Yeah.
But this is not all that's new.
That's
You have
correct.
Some more.
That's correct.
There's one big thing we actually want to talk about with you. You got a great new game for us. What is it called? And
Exactly. We have Alpine, the simulation game.
so back to the winter. You stay cold, Max. You definitely
Always.
stay cold.
I like it as a Canadian.
Yeah, I guess so. So, but what is the big difference between that game and Winter Resort Simulator? Is it just a new name, or what's different?
No, it's way more than a new name, and it's also not a sequel to Winter Resort Simulator, but a completely different product with actually a completely different targeting. With Winter Resort Simulator, we've received appreciation in particular from experts from the topic of ski resorts and also, of course, ropeways. But what is kind of missing in the Winter Resort Simulator game is really the game part. It's too much of a technical simulation for many players. That's a feedback that we've been receiving over the last...
I've been struggling a lot
It's
with the rope.
very hardcore. There is no other way to say it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there are people who like this kind
Absolutely.
of simulation, and everyone who likes it, well, Winter Resort Simulator is still around. You can still buy it. You can still enjoy it.
And you get
And there's
new
also new content. Yeah, sure. But for everyone who's kind of thinking, okay, no, Winter Resort Simulator was not the game for me. I'm not into
There's
the
this
technical
hardcore,
stuff. Not into
hardcore technical ropeway stuff, I would say.
Exactly.
actually.
Exactly. For everyone who's kind of thinking that way, we have Alpine, which is an actual game. It's not a simulator, so the focus is more like on the game part, where you are. It's again, obviously, in a ski resort. It's again about managing your slopes, but as I said, from a completely different perspective.
So a more casual approach.
Definitely.
So what will I expect if I go back to Winter Resort and compare it to that? One, in Winter Resort I had quite a sandbox, I would say. You've been thrown into the game, hey, that's your resort, go manage. And in Alpine you took a different approach, basically.
Yes, we took a completely different approach. We wanted to have a kind of guided gameplay, so not too linear, that's not what I mean, but there's a story mode, a brand new story mode,
which links various aspects of the game together.
Okay.
So you're starting with a ski resort, a fictitious ski resort in the German Alps. And your first task is to kind of get it back to running. So it's not operating as of the day
So
where
it's
you
not
start.
operating at all. It's a
Not at
script
all,
still.
no.
Okay.
And you're the person responsible for bringing life back into the village and also back into the resort.
So in a way to lead you on in the game and take you from the easy to the more difficult
Yes.
in a progressional system?
Yes, exactly. So the first tasks are kind of more easy. We start with a good introduction to the game. We kind of tell the story of the village. We show you what to do. We have various functional buildings or facilities on the map, which we all introduce to you. For example, you can fetch new vehicles from the garage building. There's also the church clock where you can change the daytime. And these kind of things are the ones which are the central elements in the first minutes of gameplay, so that you actually get an understanding of all the aspects that make out the game. And once we've finished that part, then we continue with more and more different tasks. So for example, in the beginning, you have some transport missions, and then you also go on, for example, there are snow piles on some roads in the village, which means cars can pass. And it's your job to find them and to shovel them away. And there are many more tasks of this kind. For example, you do make promotion for the game by placing posters around the village. And then kind of the story progresses. The first highlight is definitely when you get your first lift back to operation, and the first guests of the season actually enjoy the slopes.
And I think that brings us to a good point, because I think the first person view or the ski mode is a lot more of a part in this game as well, the fun part.
Yes, absolutely. We have a brand new skiing mode from the third person, so that's the new thing. We had first person before, but it just wasn't as fun as the new skiing mode, where you can just at any time during the game switch from walking to skiing and ride down the slope. And I have to say it was really fun during development to test this feature. I think it's the best tested feature of all of the game.
Oh, even more than throwing snowballs?
Probably even more than that, yeah.
That's an interesting call. I wouldn't call that one. But besides the progression system with tasks, you also have progression in your map, actually. It's like I remember once I started the game, there was like a blocked bridge, or it was under construction, right? And what is the bridge about, and how is the progression in the map system working?
Yes, you've actually mentioned a few important things. So when you start with your resort, you're not managing all of the resort right from the beginning on. You start with the village, so with the central part of your resort, where the core facilities are. But then, starting from there on, you progressively and continuously unlock the rest of the map. For example, there's this bridge, as you mentioned. It's not under construction, it's even damaged.
Oh, it's even damaged. Okay.
And that kind of explains why you can't use it, why you can't get to the other side of the river. And during the story, you also help rebuilding that bridge and fixing it. And once you've completed this part of the story, then there's a whole new part of the resort opening up, which you can then actually explore for the first time.
New challenges are waiting.
Exactly, but also kind of this unlocking mechanism is one of the core parts of the Alpine gameplay. For example, you also start with one vehicle, and you'll be adding more and more vehicles and unlocking more and more vehicles over the course of the gameplay.
What kind of vehicles will I expect in the game? Will it be the same range like Winter Resort? Will there be some new vehicles? Will some vehicles be missing?
There will be definitely similar vehicles, but with new features. Okay. So we can't yet say which vehicles will be present exactly, but we are happy to have piston bully back on board. So all of the piston bullies will also be originally licensed in this game.
Are back in the game.
Yes.
Absolutely, and also all of those auxiliary vehicles. I mean, we're seeing some of them on the footage. All of them that we actually see driving around are definitely fixed to be in the game. But what I really have to say is that the feeling of driving those vehicles is much different in Alpine than it was in Winter Resort
Yeah,
Simulator.
I am expecting you to follow the casual way also while driving.
Exactly. I mean, the features are still there, so it still sounds great. It still internally has some the simulation of motor RPM, which heavily influences sound. We still have, we actually have a kind of advanced sound system there, which still is working under the hood, but you don't really get to see all of those RPMs or miles per hour, just because we want you to actually focus on the important thing. And the important thing is, hey, you're driving there with your vehicle and you're hopefully enjoying it.
Speaking of important thing, now comes the question that I love to ask and developers hate to answer. What are the release plans? What is your planned date of release?
Well, I don't hate answering it, but I mean, it's still to some extent open because we're releasing, and that's the very cool thing about Alpine, which makes it even more exciting than all that what we've been talking about already, is that we're releasing to 2 platforms at the same time. It will be our very first PS4 game for PlayStation, which is
I can hear the cheer again.
Aerosoft finally recognized us console
Console
players.
players.
Yes, we've had requests from PS4 players.
From day one.
Yeah, really from day one, from the very initial announcement, and we really wanted to have a game that is suitable to PS4. That's also why there's a completely new concept, why it's a completely new game, why it's not. So there will not be a Winter Resort Simulator PS4 version, simply because the concept of Alpine is really made specifically for the consoles and also specifically fitted. And as I said, we will release for both platforms, depending on when both platforms are actually through submission. I hope it will be still this year at the end of fall, or end of fall is actually good. But that very much depends on our progress during the submission processes, because they are just much more complex with 2 platforms on board, in particular with a console platform on board, than just with PC. So there's a small level of uncertainty, which we simply will find out.
That is awesome to hear. Well, I can really, good news all around. So thank you, Max, for your time. Really appreciate it. And from the snowy mountains now to the German Autobahn.
just seen the trailer of Autobahn Police Simulator 3. We've got Andreas with us today.
Hello.
Hi, Andreas.
So Andreas, tell us, what is new in Autobahn Police Simulator 3?
First of all, it is still a police simulation on German Autobahn. The new things are, on the one hand, we have more road types, not only Autobahn in our street network, but also 2 lanes. So the people can make different stuff and not only driving forward. We have more cars, more police cars.
So it's a more complex road network, basically, with more intersections and stuff like that.
So not only going off-road or on your off-ramp, and
Yeah.
you actually have your 2-lane highways that connect state roads and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and you can take 2 ways to go to your goal, driving on Autobahn and Autobahn crosses, or make the short but perhaps a little bit slower part on the 2 lanes.
That sounds, first of all, interesting. Way more complex road network with different street types. But gameplay-wise, what's different between Autobahn Police Simulator 2 and 3? Because I think that's a huge difference between both games.
Yeah, on the one hand we have of course still our traffic controls, our accidents, but we improved traffic controls, we improved accidents, we improved chases, and we added especially one big type is robbery. It's now we have direct control when you are shooting, for example, because you have dangerous mission to help people, and
When you say direct control of the situation of the player, just
of the player character. I'm sorry.
So
of
you're
the player
basically also aiming.
Yeah. You are
Okay.
also aiming. This is not like in Autobahn Police 2, where we had some quick time events. It's direct control for the character, so you can aim and you can.
So
Basically pull the
basically-
trigger or find other solutions.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Andreas, where you've been talking about the controls, there's a lot of things changing there. In Autobahn Police Simulator, a lot of people have been going crazy about, they've been stuck with the camera so much on the car. Right now you can really move around your car and do the different task mini games. What is it?
Yeah, I think you mean traffic controls. Yeah, we changed traffic controls. The big change is obviously that you are not only driving around with the camera around the car, but you can moving your character around the car and take the points what you want to see, if it's correct or not correct, or if it's broken or something like that, or if you find some dangerous things.
Overall, it seems to be a lot more hands-on this time, not only pre-programmed camera movement.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the next point with cameras. We always had the problem when you had cutscenes that you had.
They've been quite funny from time to time, I would call it.
Yes, this was a problem, or this is a problem in Autobahn Police 2. Which is very deep in the programming code, and we made a mistake and made a false decision in development of Autobahn Police 2, and it was not really possible to fix it completely. So we worked around and and had a lot of glitches. In Autobahn Police Simulator 3, we completely updated the streaming system. We rewrote it and we avoided this problems. So it lead automatically to less camera glitches and to less such things like when the camera is in the head of character or something.
I think people are already seeing it with the gameplay. Right now it looks way more clear. Camera movements are not that glitchy.
And I think we really have to point this out in a way. For many games, it is a learning process. developing a game is not an easy process by any stretch of the imagination. And if a developer notices that you have a problem this deep in the code that you just can't fix it anymore, it is the right move to move on to the next start
step,
over. I think that's something that always is a, well, you know it as much as I do. People will accuse you really of, well, we just want to make money and you want to push out the next title, but there are valid reasons for this, and I think this is really important that we point this out.
Going back for new things from Autobahn Police Simulator 3, Andreas, will there be new vehicles?
Yes.
Are you naming them?
No.
Not yet. Okay, I see.
I'm sorry. We have some time till the release, so I think we will show and release more informations, and so we will show also the new car in the future.
At last he said car and not cars.
It's not really right, but I don't want to spoil the game, so it's
quite interesting.
That being said, do you have a release date or a timeline?
We have a timeline, first quarter of 22.
First quarter of 22. Autobahn Police Simulator 2 was a huge success on consoles. Will people be able to play Autobahn Police Simulator 3 on consoles again?
Yes, of course, and this is one of some or many reasons why we have to move the release date in 22 to deliver the game on consoles and on PC in the same timeline.
Old gen, new gen, both gen?
Both.
So both gen, both platforms. But there's a little gift, I would say. Moving the release date into the next year, you guys prepared something really nice for Christmas or around Christmas.
Yeah, around Christmas we want to give out a demo, a trial demo.
Yeah, it's a demo version.
Demo version, so everybody can look at the game, play it, and say it if he or she likes it or not, and why not perhaps, so we can perhaps
actually
use
feedback is always important.
Feedback is important, and especially if you did play the 2 and you did not like it as much, you could easily compare it now and see, are these points valid, are they not valid? Andreas, thanks for having you.
Thank you, Andreas. And with that, we are moving from the Autobahn to the highway and highway maintenance. And moving from Highway Police Simulator, we are staying on the highways and go to Joachim and his new game, which is Straßenmeisterei Simulator, which we translate as...
It's a highway maintenance game. It's about taking care of the roads.
It's looking amazing. You guys already seeing pictures of that. There's so many different vehicles. And Alex, I mean, I should be quiet now. You actually have way more knowledge than I do about that topic.
I seen the first trailer, I was so excited because, in fact, my very first work experience back then was indeed with the Straßenmeisterei in Wetzlar, and so seeing that was very close to my heart. I am very excited to see what you have to bring to the table on this one.
Yes, thank you. Well, yes, I came to this idea as a friend of mine is working at the highway maintenance in Germany, and I found it's very extremely, how to say, they have so many things to do which you probably not imagine when you first look at it. So that's right, we had to make so many different vehicles. We have, for example, a kind of pickup where you put on things you can work with, and you have many other machines or vehicles like a dump truck for transporting asphalt in case you have to redo or to put new asphalt on a part of a road.
Resurface some of the roads.
Yes, that's right. And of course we need this kind of heavy machine with like a tank with the chains at the side to put it there, and later you have a kind of roller to make it
to
flatten it.
Yeah, so you got the road surfacer and the packers and
yes. all this stuff.
And of course, I think what many people don't know or don't even think about it, the security of those sites is so important, and that's the part that you have simulated as well.
Yes, of course. This is a main part is security, and in fact, it's all about security because road maintenance is to have a secure traffic. So one of the first missions is to secure areas where you have to work. So this is a kind of part of the game, putting these
like
red
cones
Ba-
or
barriers,
barrier
cones, yeah.
cones up here.
Yes.
And I think there's also some really special vehicle in the game. It's actually a road painting machine,
Yeah, that's right.
where you can paint your like the stripes and so on. I love that one, and you guys seeing pictures of it in the video, in the gameplay footage, and it looks amazing. Joachim, what would a day in your game look like? What would the mission look like?
Yes, of course, in real life, the boss tell you what to do, but we think it's not so good for the gamer. You want to have a kind of freedom or liberty to choice. So we designed the game that you always have to select your mission, which you would like to do, and we always offer you 4 different missions, and then you can select one of these. And then you pick up a car or a vehicle, and
What mission? Let's just
Yeah,
take
let's say
one
so.
mission. Maybe
Walk us through
Yeah.
from
Well,
the beginning.
well, maybe you grab the mission. There's a security iron plate on the sides. I don't know the right name in English. And maybe a car crashed into it. And
The
these planks.
Leitplanken? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Schutzplanken.
Yeah,
This
in
is some-
German it's called
So-
Leitplanken.
they are road dividers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are really there for safety reasons, but sometimes somebody hit it and it's broken. So let's take this mission. So you get your pickup truck and load it up with security equipment, which is divided in the feet part and the main part, and then you put up new metal planks. And they kind of-
Guardrails. Now I know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a guide
these-
rail.
Okay,
yeah.
the guardrail system. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
And then you pick up your tool to
The driller actually.
the driller, and then you
Impact
go
wrenches
there.
and so on, yeah.
And the first thing you have to do is to secure the working area. You put all these road signs there, and then you go there and use your tool to get up the destroyed one, put it on your truck, and put on the new one. Then you have to collect. Then you have to
Unbuild the whole
Unbuild the
situation and
security
prepare
region.
the road to be ready again. Actually, I saw in the gameplay footage, Joachim, not only you put up these cones and so on, but also your vehicle actually has a LED matrix on the
Yeah, that's right.
on the back. So actually, you can also secure your working space with your vehicle.
And of course, always the question for most simulator players is, will you be able to use those from the inside of your vehicle with buttons that work, or will...
Yes, we are actually thinking about this and would love to put it in. It's not planned yet, but I think we will do this because actually, and we are waiting as well, or let's say, so we have waited for the NextSim to get your feedback, the feedback from the community, and then we select or we analyze all the feedback and we see what makes sense to do, and then we will do this. And maybe take a bit 2, 3, or 4 months more to implement it, to have a kind of good game, a perfect game, because the inside the vehicles are completely modeled. So this would be possible.
So guys, you just heard Joachim. He said like he loves to get your feedback about
Yes.
the game. You've guys seen some gameplay footage about it. Let us know in the comments what you guys think should be in there. And like Alex said, pushing buttons and so on to control the LED matrix, but there are also some other special tools that are used in simulator, especially in front of the vehicles.
Yes.
There's like a washing machine for signs and also for road dividers and so on, and a lot more.
Will they be in the game?
Yes, of course. You have a kind of utility truck, and one of them had a kind of saw, sometimes some trees have many going onto the road, and the cars could hit the tree, let's say, so, or the was heißt jetzt Ast.
Which is very unique to Europe because we have
In the US, you don't.
wide.
It's very European, let's say so. But this is a mission as well. On the other side, we have this car as well with the washing machine, so we can go there and clean, for example, these iron planks which become dirty all over the time. And these are very various missions. As well, we have a mission which is a combination of machine and handwork, like you have a kind of hammer, but was ist Meißel? So if there is a hole in the road, you must fill it, because the car can go
like
dump into
bumping
it.
holes and so
Yeah.
on.
So potholes.
Yeah, you
and
need to
so on.
refill them and so
Yes.
on. Actually, well, you can't just refill them. You actually need to spread them first of all to get a better surface.
And this is yet ready, and the mission is yet done last week, and you have to use this heavy machine with your hands. Then you get a kind of bucket with cold asphalt, fill it in. Then you get another one we call frog here in Germany, because it's jumping, like a small hand roller. Let's
Oh
say so.
yeah,
This is really cool, and we are doing all
those
these.
are the special tools.
Yeah. You will see them in the gameplay footage. Name them to us. Name
Yeah,
them to
exactly. Leave us a comment down below, because I can't remember.
No, so a lot of tools, a lot of missions, especially with the vehicles.
Yeah.
It looks super interesting.
Now, one thing, me being former or with them at one point, will you have also those missions where you have to basically patrol along the highway and mark or pretty much find the current, but just to give you guys an idea how it works, or worked back then in real life, you will have the patrol unit that goes out and marks down on a sheet what is damaged, and then the workers come after, and
So it's like spotting.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
you spot.
this is exactly a very cool idea, and but we don't have this in the game because it's our first game about this theme. So we thought we should focus exactly on the missions. But maybe I write it down, this idea. Maybe if there's a second game,
Somewhere
we
down the
could
line.
think about it. This is really cool that you have a kind of open world, cruise around, check the things, have the list, and then do it. This would be really nice. But in this first game, we really focus on the mission and the work.
So, Joachim, there's one question always pops up to our mind until the end of the interview. When does it come?
Yeah.
And on which platform can people expect the game?
Yes. When will it come? Normally, or we had planned to release this year, but as we wanted to wait NextSim, thanks Aerosoft for inviting us, maybe we will work a bit more and release it maybe early next year. But what I can confirm is that, of course, we come out with PC and as well for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X.
As well as Series S for sure. So the Series.
Yeah, Series.
So, console people again, I would say.
Will cheer.
Yeah, well, that's it with Straßenmeisterei-Simulator, or Highway Maintenance Simulator as we call it right now as working title. We've got some amazing trailer for you guys now, and see you after them.
dangerous job. Anything can happen at any time on the Autobahn. And you're going to be spending a large part of your life in your patrol car from now on.
Time for a donut. I'd like one, please.
Without the police, we'd have gone out of business long ago.
Yummy.
Home, home. Just wanna go. Just wanna go. Home, home. Back home. I've been gone for way too long. Home, home. Just wanna go. Just wanna go. Home, home. I'm on my way back home.
Europa Truck Trail ist Sport mit großen Trucks im schweren Gelände, actionreiche Events, eine coole Sache in einer Zusammenarbeit, Partnerschaft mit Nanogames und Aerosoft, mit der Entwicklung von HDC The Game dabei sein zu können. Die Realität, die Action, die man jetzt auch in die virtuelle Welt damit hineinbringt, ist unglaublich fantastisch.
Genau, wir haben eine super Zusammenarbeit, die echten LKWs, die echten Standorte. Und ich würde sagen, wir quatschen gar nicht lange rum, sondern wir konnten real den Truck fahren und haben es im Spiel und schauen uns das jetzt erstmal an.
Was hat dir am Spiel vielleicht besonders gut gefallen? Ja, erstmal, dass mein Fahrzeug mit dabei ist natürlich dann. Gefällt mir natürlich und man hätte es sich auch kaum vorstellen können. Also ich habe ja die Entwicklung auch verfolgt von dem Ganzen und wie real das Ganze dann auch geworden ist. Also wenn ich jetzt das Auto sehe, man erkennt ja manchmal kaum, ist es jetzt praktisch ein Film oder ist es tatsächlich im Spiel. Das ist das, also wie sie es jetzt getroffen haben und alles realistisch gemacht haben. Natürlich dann auch, dass sie auf die einzelnen Austragungsorte eingehen, wie es auch wir machen, so getreu wie möglich, sodass wir uns da wiedersehen. Das gefällt mir natürlich dann. Und natürlich, dass auch die Technik, also auch mit Sperrenschalten, das ganze Thema auch wirklich aufgegriffen worden ist und nicht einfach nur jetzt vorwärts, rückwärts und dann war es das, sondern dass auch das Trail an für sich rüberkommen soll. Also hier ist das Reglement, die Taktik, dass man da reingeführt wird. Ja.
As you guys just seen, we've got some really exciting trucks here. That was real life footage, but we've got Lukasz from Poland, from Nano Games here now, from HTC The Game. Many people of you might already know the game from play tests and so on, but Lukasz, you've got some great news for us. Tell us what's new in HTC and what will come.
Right, so anyone who's played the playtest has the experience with core gameplay of the game, you know, the mechanics of the track and so on and so on. But we've added some more mechanics, such as a damage system, temperature, things that make driving the track even more challenging and more interesting, I think. Well, one big thing that we're working on also is the level editor, which will allow players to create their own content, to create mods. And well, we think of it as a championship editor, so you will be able to create a whole new championship for the game and challenge your friends or strangers who can show you that they are better than you on the levels.
It's supposed to be fairly easy to use editor, from what I understand.
Yes, the idea is it will be an easy drag and drop editor where you can just create an obstacle course very quickly just by selecting stuff from a list that we provide and putting it on the level. So I think it will be quite accessible.
And is it going to be somewhere like Steam Workshop, or is it going to be game internal?
Yeah. I mean, the editor will be in the game, but what you create, you can post as a mod and let other people know that you can create great championships.
So, modding first, a new topic, I would say, but let's step a step backwards, because not only you change the whole behavior of trucks, you're saying you're introducing a damage system. What does this damage system mean? In the playtest, actually, you could drive recklessly.
Yeah, that's true.
Without fear of differentials or so on. No overheating or something will happen. You've changed a lot there. Walk us through it, please, Lukasz.
Yeah, well, one thing we want to do is focus the attention of the player on the sports aspect and on the competition, on the obstacle course and so on. We have noticed that many people are just driving straight ahead, not really caring about the track because, well, the game in the playtest didn't really have any mechanic to stop you. But with the damage system, different parts of the track can be damaged, like, you know, the powertrain, suspension and so on. So you will have to be much more careful. Precision will be key to go through the obstacle courses. And we also want to have the sections, the obstacle courses, very interactive. So you will have even more interactive obstacles, like, you know, ramps and stones that fall from under your wheels and so on. We want them to be bigger, more interesting, more interactive. So it's, you know, it's physics based, so the behavior of the track and the environment will be realistic, so I think it will be cool.
And I think it's always very interesting because the whole HTC is very inherently European. As in North America, we have no such thing just because we don't have the trucks that have, well, we have our normal semis, but you do not have cab overs. Yeah. And so even, like we said,
that
even if
work
you look
in a
like
US
this,
truck,
you
let's
still
be
have
honest.
about 6 feet of hood head over you. So it's very interesting for us from North America to see this sport that is, well, fairly known in Europe, that is completely unknown at the moment in the States. And I think that's where the game is also very interesting for us because we get exposed to something that we have no exposure to otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, I hope North American players will also have a lot of fun with, well, perhaps sort of exotic tracks that we introduce in the game, which are exciting but common in Europe, and perhaps something new in North America.
So in the playtest version, you showed us 3 different trucks in different sizes. Actually, the sport is divided by axes, right? You have like 2 axles, 3 axles, 4 axles, and there are more categories to come. But I think we should focus on them for now, because there's an experimental, but it's going too crazy for now. we've got some great news about trucks. Lukas, you've got 12 new trucks for us.
Yes.
Will there be more trucks? Are these all trucks? How will the lineup look like?
Well, we already have 12 trucks ready. I think players will have a nice selection of different types of trucks, different brands, and so on. But we base the trucks on actual trucks driven in Europa track trials, and they've been around for 30 years. The selection is vast, and we want to add even more. So the 12 tracks is a great beginning, but I think we'll be able to get more tracks into the game until release. So, anyone who loves the tracks will have something to find for themselves.
And if you spotted the truck picture right, you might seen a lot of licenses in there, going from Mercedes over MAN and so on and so on. Everything is covered and fans will be happy, I guess.
Well, I hope so. We have MAN trucks, we have Mercedes-Benz, Unimog, the famous brands. We have some Eastern trucks like ZIL or Ural. I would love to add a Polish track there too. So I think everyone will find something for themselves.
Those are really exciting news.
So the whole sports is based on a championship. The game is based on the sport. How does it look in game? Will I complete in this championship? Will I be a newcomer? What is it actually about? How will my gameplay look like?
So when you start the game, you are a newcomer. You start with one track and you begin your career by entering your first championship, which will be the one that will let you really understand the mechanics of the track, learn how to drive and so on. By completing a championship, you get points, and with those points you can buy new tracks and you can upgrade the tracks that you already have. So if you love one track very much, you can just work on it until it's perfect and powerful.
Oh, I need my cubes hanging down there and stuff like that. I see that, Lukas. I see that.
So you have completed your first championship, and you can buy a new track, for example, try it out. You go to another championship, you compete there, and you will of course also get trophies and medals for achievements, like of course being first, second and third, but you will also get a trophy for completing a whole championship without making any errors, mistakes, and so on.
Will there be a trophy for most parts damaged?
Oh, well, that's a great idea. Actually, maybe there should also be
most flip overs and stuff like
exactly.
that.
It will be a sad trophy, but it will be a trophy anyways.
So speaking about this championship, all locations are based on real locations, right? For example, we have Lindbergh, where we've been just with the real trucks, German YouTuber, and we've been driving with these trucks, but there are more other spots to come, right? Off-road parks, stuff like that. They're all based on the real locations of the real sport.
Yes, that's where the inspiration came from, and Limburg was the first place I visited when I found out about the sport. We went to see the tracks compete in Limburg, so it's there, but there are other locations where the sport takes place in Germany, France. They drive in Belgium, Slovenia, Italy, all around Europe. So we begin there, but I don't think we'll stop there. We'll keep on adding new levels too. So perhaps some levels, in North America.
Utah or the Canadian Rockies.
Yeah, I mean, in Utah it seems rock climbing is extremely popular. I think players in the States could have a lot of fun and feel that maybe they are driving in a known environment. So definitely that's a direction we want to go.
And thank you very much, Lukas, for being here with us and giving us all these great news. Now we have more exciting news for bus fans.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride, more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure.
As we just seen in the trailer, we've got Jill here from TML. Jill, we got some exciting things for the bus. Tell us what we've got.
Yeah, as you probably have seen, we are going to introduce the new Lines City DD, the double-decker from MAN, as well as the Line 200 very soon, hopefully this year, as new content. Yeah.
So, a new bus, a new route. Tell us something about the new bus. What is this actually about? What's it so special? I mean, most people saw it. Most people recognize this bus from Berlin. What is it all about?
So for us, it's a new bus, but basically it's a very, very old bus. It's very regular bus in Berlin. You see it very often. I've been in Berlin like a couple of weeks ago, and I was lucky to see one new double-decker from Alexander Dallas, but mostly like half of the buses I've seen was still the Lines City DD double-deckers from MAN, and I was so lucky to even drive with one to another location.
It's a really iconic bus for Berlin, I think, just like the double-deckers in London.
Yes, absolutely. They're super iconic, and they're still in regular use, and that's why we're going to implement them very soon. And one of our technical artists, Timo, is very, very close close connection to some of the professional bus drivers in our community to get the functions of the vehicle correct. For example, there's one lever in the bus which is called the 20 o'clock lever, because they push it at 20 o'clock. So the door clearance for the passengers is being disabled, as well as the automatic kneeling.
Oh, for night
Yes,
driving.
Oh, okay,
especially for night driving, so they can. All the passengers have to embark and disembark from the front door, and the bus doesn't kneel anymore, so they can take off faster because there's so few traffic going on at that time. So that's a very unique thing about this particular bus, and especially for Berlin, for the BVG.
I would assume you have a lot of sound recordings too then, because this is a very iconic engine in this.
Yeah, we recorded the sounds back in 2017 at the depot in Dira-Gandhi-Straße. From one of those vehicles, everything you want to have, the engine in the inside and from the exterior, and all the doors, the retarding, the gearbox and whatnot, everything. And we also took a lot of photos. So there was some particular example. One of the bus drivers, which is helping us to get this vehicle correct, told us that vehicle doesn't have a wheelchair ramp at the front door. And we showed him the pictures, and he was like, oh, I never saw that. I never realized that there was an actual ramp. And that was really funny.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so besides that, we've got a new route, I think, even as iconic as the bus and the double D, the route. It's what most people maybe already guessed what route it might be, especially someone who've been to Berlin. Walk us through that route. What are the point of interest we're now visiting in Berlin? And they might complete like, it's a good tourist trip in Berlin.
Yeah, there are already some bus stops available since update 1.3 and especially 1.4 for the new Line 200, because it shares some of the bus stops along Line TXL. We also already added all the bus stops of Line 200 from Unter den Linden across Alexanderplatz, back outwards to Michelangelo-Straße, near the bus depot of Indira Gandhi Straße. So those are already available if you can use the in-game editor tools for creating lines. But now what we're adding is the line 200 for all users, and it's the complete line from Herzallee over Potsdamer Platz towards Unter den Linden and then outwards to Michelangelo-Straße. With a lot of sites like Sony Center, Berliner Philharmonie, the embassies along Tiergarten, and the Gedächtniskirche, which is a church that was destroyed during World War II and is still in this kind of condition as a memorial. And also right next to it there's Zoopalast and the Berlin Zoo, as well as Herzallee, where actually the old headquarters of the BVG, the Berliner Verkehrsbetriebe, was located at, and since I guess like 2010s it has moved to Jannowitzbrücke. So you actually basically still have your terminus at the old headquarter building. That's very funny.
So I know we've seen the depot already, or you can already drive into the depot. Is the depot going to be actual partner of the line, or?
Along phase 2, we will connect all routes to the depot. So it will not become part of line 200 at the start when we introduced line 200, but along phase 2, which we're slowly progressing to, it's going to be a smooth transition kind of, because we're actually in the process of completing phase 1 and now first introducing the most important features of phase 2, like the line city DD and the new line 200. And then we're going to connect all the routes to the depot. So the first stop, actually before you begin your first stop, you have to start at the depot. Go into your vehicle, the correct vehicle for that tour, for the line.
That would be great if you choose the right one.
But as we always said, the bus is supposed to be a sandbox. So if you choose that you want to ride line 200 with a regular Scania Citywide belly bus, you can do so. But you don't have to. You can still choose the correct vehicle for the correct line. So it's up to the user what he or she wants to play.
Up to their imagination.
Yes, absolutely.
So the main issue of people actually gets now tagged with the bus. It was the content, the really reduced content at the start of the early access. People will now get a new bus, will now get a new line, and there's way more to come down the road, right? We have the roadmap online. A lot of people already might think about the main feature of the bus. We've been talking about that all the time. Alex might also thinking about if we have 3 people here.
Multiplayer.
What could it be?
Yes.
Jill, what's about the multiplayer?
Yes, exactly.
Will multiplayer come? When might it come, and in which way will it come?
We will probably introduce multiplayer along next year, 2022. And it will be very interesting because as we already shown in a couple of videos before the start of the early access, like back in 2018 or something, you will be able, for example, you will be able to host a game. I can join you. You can collect me with your vehicle of choice at any stop which is available in the city in our map of Berlin. I can get into your bus. We can drive along to the next stop. You can get out of the driver's cabin, and I can take control of the vehicle, and you still stay in the vehicle while we ride along. And for example, while we're both driving in the same vehicle and changing places, for example, Fabian could also join and drive with another vehicle on a different line, and maybe we pass each other and we meet.
I would definitely greet you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Would you though?
I guess.
Well, if you guys watched the trailer very closely in the beginning, then you might have noticed something that is related to the tourist bus. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I would really love to tell you about it, because we're actually we're porting Tourist Bus with the help of Zero Games from Paris in France onto PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and Series S.
I see people standing up in the front of the screen. Finally, the gates are open. TML products coming to console.
Yes.
People might cheer right now, but what does it mean, Jill? What's the actual time frame for that? What's the current status? Can people expect it soonish?
That's hard to say, because we gave the entire code to Zero Games for evaluation if they're able to port it, because they're specializing in ports. And they said, yes, we can do it, and it will probably take about this amount of time, and we're really sure that Zero Games is able to do that. But there's still the process of certification for each platform holder. So we have to go through certification with Sony for PlayStation and for Xbox with Microsoft. And that's a time frame which can extend like up to 6 or 9 months. If all goes well, we will pass it very smoothly. So I would estimate that at the earliest, which will probably not be the case, at the end of 2022 and probably along 2023, we can expect to have the port of Tourist Bus Simulator on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. We just have to see if that goes all well.
So very exciting news for all you bus lovers out there. We have to recap. We have a new bus coming. We have a new line coming. The 200. We have a port coming sometime
Finally.
soon. Yeah, finally. And I think this is really going to be a good time for all friends of bus simulation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
And now we are going to something completely different that is kind of based out of my home country, Canada. And now we have Torsten from Terabytes here. Welcome, Torsten.
Hi,
with
Alex.
Zombie Cure Lab, which, well, tell us what it is.
What is Zombie Cure Lab? It's not the classical simulation games or game that you talk about a lot. I think it's still a strategy game, and it has simulation parts in it, but I would say it's a construction and management game. Others would say maybe it's a build-up strategy game.
Yeah, I assume so. We saw already some footage. It looks quite fun. So, Zombie Cure Lab. What is it about? I cure zombies? Do I hunt them and cure them, or what is the story behind the game?
Yeah, actually, it's really hidden inside the title. You're right. You're curing. We say it's a curing instead of killing, and this is maybe the freshest take on the zombie genre that we have seen so far. And the story is quite simple. We're using a lot of typical potions that make a zombie game. So we have this zombie apocalypse. The world as we know is no more. but the change here is that we put scientists, these little scientists in the game are kind of our heroes. They want to look for a cure, and this is also what players on the long part of the game are looking forward to. So they have to plan ahead and actually develop a cure, and that means finally in the game you have to defend yourself from the zombies, but as you're curing them you cannot shoot them to death. And
so that is, I think that is really the most different approach that I've heard to zombie games ever, that you don't shoot them at all, but you try to cure them. Now, is this based on Europe, or kind of alluded to it earlier?
Alex is aiming for something really special.
I know why you asked this question, because we thought when we came up with this idea, and there was even a reason for that, we decided, no, this whole thing plays in Canada, in the Canadian wilderness. And from you, I just learned yesterday that it must be more like the northwestern parts, because we have some mountains also on the game map. I think it really stems back from first ideas we had. We thought about, okay, what would happen if this kind of apocalypse will happen? And then we figured out that Canada actually really carries some kind of geopolitical central position where it would make sense to gather kind of underground, and that actually was the reason.
Lucky Alex. We are lost, Thorsten, and he will survive, I see.
Yeah.
But in most build-up games, strategies, RTS, you name it, you have resources.
Exactly.
How will resources be handled in Zombie Cure Lab?
Yeah, so most important, as a lot of other games do this, you're not controlling directly any kind of working resources in the game. It's happening automatically, so we have pathfinding, AI, and a hidden job system that takes care on that. You have job prioritization mechanics, so that you as a player can say, okay, who is doing what in the most indirect level as possible. And one very important key to success in this type of game is, of course, that you gather resources, that you build different other machines and stuff that actually can produce different other resources. So like we know this from a lot of games. So you gather and you can refine them into even more complex products, and everything is kind of connected with each other.
But of course you need some kind of worker, and I think this is something that is very unique to your game. Where do I get those workers from?
Exactly, because scientists are, on the one hand, they are brave, and we do this as a funny take. They are also, as we have this idea of a scientist who's maybe not the best handyman.
Yeah, more like goofy, I would say. It's like, we have brains, but handling tools and so on,
exactly.
Don't blame us on that one.
And this is actually really a very important thing of the game. It's also the design mantra, as we call it. It's the Humby. Humby stands for humanized zombie, because whenever
that's a great one.
Whenever you get a zombie, you can transform them with the secret formula that scientists discovered, and the result is not a instant human. It's a hybrid life form that is still having zombie parts in it, but also becomes a little bit more human. And this is also about the progression of the game. So players will get these Humbies, and these Humbies are your main workforce. So you really have to care for them. They will chop wood, they will mine the iron ores and all that stuff. They also, at later stages, when you have developed more sophisticated technology in the game, you can then build the transformation chamber of the second tech tier. And putting a Humby inside that would result in, I get a new Humby. It's Humby tier 2. And these Humbies...
So different stages of these Humbies.
Yeah, you have an evolution until you finally reach that goal of getting to human again. And these Humbies know more, they can do more, but they also have more complex needs. And the design mantra that we follow is the Humby is your friend and your foe. That means if you do everything correctly, it's your friend, it will help you, it's your workforce. if you kind of fuck it up, then you will see what happens, because they get angry, they get enraged, and they do nasty stuff.
So you need to take care about them.
Exactly.
Different needs like sleeping and so on, I guess.
Sleeping, eating in the beginning, but later on they want to learn. I mean, consider you are a brain dead zombie kind of.
Let's call it game developer.
yeah, game developer, exactly.
So yeah.
And going from there to normal means, okay, you even have to rebuild your muscles, you have to rebuild your brain, you have to learn, going kind of back to school. All that stuff will be happening in the game.
But your zombies, as you get them, are you going out and gather them, or is the resource in a way coming to you?
The resource is coming for me in a double sense, because if I don't protect myself, they really will come for scientists and Humvees, bite them, and immediately transform them back into zombies, so which is also a loss. If you lose all your scientists, you kind of lose the game. And otherwise, you normally fence off your whole lab, and then you have specific technology developed, which is ice cannons, ice traps, weather machines, and all that stuff, because we figured out the best mechanic to get them to harvest zombies is by freezing them to ice blocks. So this makes them, which is not destroying them and makes them kind of
paralyzing them basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have time? Like, are the zombies constantly attacking, or is there some kind of a timed approach?
We wanted to have that in the beginning, that we have this roaming ocean of zombies, which led to some design issues, because scaling up was an issue. So we kind of canceled these plans, and now we have a dynamic day-night cycle in the game, and players will get this by a night owl or whatsoever, so that they know, okay, night is happening, and whenever the night happens, we have different locations on the map that slowly will uncover, and then zombies will flood out and roam the region. And by day, they will kind of hide again, so that the player by day has time to go more into the planning and expanding actions.
That's super interesting. I'm really hyped for not shooting zombies, but freezing them, collecting them, and humanize them again.
Yeah. In Canada.
In Canada.
In Canada, exactly.
I already seeing the Alex scientist.
Yeah.
It is such a refreshing take on the whole genre, really, that I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Do you have the release timeline yet?
Yeah, I think we will definitely have it more detailed by end of this year, but we have planned to go into an early access on Steam in Q2 next year.
So PC first,
PC
early
first,
access,
exactly.
And more information will follow soonish.
Yeah. And early access really means you have a full playable game, all the features are in, it's polished, it's balanced. But of course the vision is super big, and we try to get out with the most important game set, and from then, we will see what else happens.
Super interesting. Thanks for joining us, Thorsten.
Thanks for having me. Yes.
From zombies to simulators, what will be next?
And now back to the roots, back to simulation. here with Logistic Simulator and Mehmet.
Hi, Mehmet.
Hi.
Mehmet, you've got some great things for us. We already seen the spring update in the trailer, but you've got way more stuff to show, especially missions. More vehicles, more unloading and so on. Would you walk us through what new vehicles will you have in the upcoming updates?
So the early game was a little bit repetitive, we have found, and we have received feedback from players, and we tried to add more mission versatility to the earlier game. So we added a skid steer loader, which is a smaller wheel loader, and it can load construction waste to Kipper trailers. This mission is interesting because it's a lightweight cargo, but it's complicated to load. And when you deliver the cargo, player needs to also unload the trailer by lifting
the end dump.
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's also in that mission. So you first load it and then unload it later. So, I mean, that's the key point of truck and logistics. I mean,
basically.
Most simulators going for the driving, for the real delivering, but you always have the how to load the cargo and how to unload the cargo. That's a great mission, but there's more to come, I guess.
Yes, there's also a vehicle transport mission, which is it will also include the loading, which is very interesting because for transporting cars on a trailer, normally the top part of the trailer can also lift and go down to allow loading of the cars. And players will initially load the top part with 3 cars, which we couldn't yet show in the video because it's not yet completed in this time of recording. After loading the 3 cars on top of the vehicle, it's going to lift, it will be animated, and then players will load also the bottom part of the trailer with 2 other vehicles. And when loading is complete, they are going to start transporting.
So that sounds like some fun.
That is fun. And will you be able to unload them at the end of the
we didn't decide on it yet because it gets a bit repetitive, but we might also as well do that, so it's not complicated.
That's great.
And I've seen there was another vehicle, SUV, that's coming.
Yeah, SUV. It's more like for a fun vehicle, so you cannot load it inside with a forklift or stuff like that, but it can tow trailers. It can tow any trailer because it has a good towing capacity. And for this video, we are showing the SUV with a new trailer, which is the Caravan. The unique part of the Caravan is its destination is also a new type of destination. We are increasing mission start points and end points with new options. So, for example, for this Caravan, our destination is a camping place, and so we are basically getting it from a shop or something like that, Caravan shop, and we are delivering it to a camping place. This is our mission.
And just to stop you there for our North American friends, it's a travel trailer that we are talking about, a normal recreational vehicle.
Yeah.
So just because I know in the UK you have Caravan, in North America we do use travel trailers.
Yeah. So ready for some campfire action in truck and logistic, I would say. That sounds amazing. It's a lot of content. When can people actually expect that kind of content? And truck and logistic currently is out for the PC on Switch in early access, but also for the Switch. Can both groups of players enjoy this new content?
Yes. We are planning to release on PC in October, mid-October, and for Nintendo Switch we are planning to release on November.
Oh, okay, so it's not too far. So ready for the bit colder days. You can get out your travel trailer and go out with some people and having a night campfire.
And I've seen there's 2 different sizes for this travel trailer too, right? There's a longer one and a shorter version, so it's going to be nice for the big family.
That's right.
So, Mehmet, there's still something in your back pocket, I would say, you've prepared for people, especially many people asking, hey, this game is out on Switch, but I've got a PlayStation or I've got an Xbox. What is about the other console people?
Yeah, we are right now working on the PlayStation and Xbox versions, not only the old generation but also the new generation, which we already had a good progress, and we are planning to release on Q1 next year, early next year.
That's some exciting news. Console
I can just
people,
hear the cheer.
yeah, console people all around the world just cheering right now, because I think that's something really unique for console people. A simulator with all the unloading and delivering in such a huge map with that environment, so many different vehicles, especially after the upcoming patch, even more vehicles to come. This is great. But
there was something else that I noticed, and that's we have some special vehicles there. You want to talk about those?
So it's not actually special vehicles, but vehicles now have an new equipment that players can purchase. And normally when players are playing multiplayer, they are going to the same destination together with their loads, but this time they can also escort other convoys themselves.
So oversized loads will have their own pilot cars.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Actually heavy cargo going out there with a pilot car. You could take the pilot car and I could deliver the cargo all the way around. Mehmet, will this work on different platforms, or is it just for PC, or if Alex is playing on a Switch on the aircraft and using the great Wi-Fi most aircrafts have, will he be able to join my convoy at home on my nicely running desktop?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and it's also not only for Nintendo Switch and PC, and in future when we release on mobile, for example, when your friend comes to you or when you meet, you can just join the game with a mobile phone and your friend can play on PC, another friend can play on Nintendo Switch, and they can all join together in the same convoy.
Cross-platform play is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
So basically you cover every platform, you just spoiled the mobile version. We've been talking about this, or you've been talking about this for a year. You needed to delay it, especially for the console version, but it's still on track, it's still on plan to go for mobile also. Truck and Logistic on any platform soonish. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mehmet. I would say we're looking at the next new simulator quite soon. See you. From big deliveries to home improvements, we've got Andre with Fix It, the renovation simulator.
Hi Andre, what is it all about?
What's it all about? In the game you take the role of an handyman, let's say, and we take care of all things around the house and everything we do in the house in cause of, let's say, renovation, paintings, installation for gas and water systems, electric things, some things in the garden like cleaning, shorten the grass, for example.
So you are a contractor, not really a house owner?
No,
I take it?
No, you started with a small company as a one-man show, and you do everything. In this case, you got your first small office or company, take your first car, and then you can start taking contracts, getting contracts, and purchase the material you need, the tools you need, go to the customer and fix whatever is to do.
So do you start out, let's say, at the beginning of a mission? Yeah, walk us through a mission. Like, is it just in the house, or is there more to it?
Yeah, different. So at first you go to your office, you enter your computer and you can check incoming mail offers for jobs, and you can pick it whatever you want. Then you also see what kind of tools I need for this job, which kind of material I need, for example, wall paint, and I need a brush and such things. I purchase everything, I go move it to the customer, and then start painting the walls or wrapping out the old floor and put a new one in, change the doors to new ones. Although maybe also it's let's say recycling. So if you have to remove old furniture, for example, put it to your car and bring it away from there. And
so when you say bring it away from there, are we talking just I click on the TV and it magically disappears, or is there more to it?
No, we decided together with the Aerosoft it's more fun. So okay, we say we put everything into physics objects. So you have to carry everything, and you can throw everything and put it into trash containers. And make it a bit more fun, even if we will have some quite more funny issues, I guess, later on. So if you have too much on your car, it might also let you lose some things on the way, and then you can go back and search where the wall paint bucket is from the car. Or you will take everything by hand and carry it in and out, and not even click and point and click, and it's there and present it a place. You have to move it by hand.
So I think that's an interesting point that we have to talk about really, or that we have to emphasize, is the physical object. It's not the case of just simply opening some radial menu and poof, the magic dragon appears. But it's more physics-based. Really, you have to literally take the tools, take the let's say floorboards, throw them on your pickup and go from there.
So you also have the real situation, the fun, and as you would have in real life. So if you carry some things which is a little bit wider, you might have trouble to get it through doors. So we also in the development now notice, okay, it's better to carry some things this direction and not this one. So you can't go through doors without putting everything down again. But it is quite interesting,
But it's not all about cleaning up and stuff like that. There's also, like, you called them handyman tasks. Like, really from building a new toilet, installing a new toilet, up to, just changing a light bubble. There's a lot more things, tasks like that.
Search for issues in the electric installation. So, for example, the fuse always goes down, and you have to check out why. So which of the machinery in the house is defect?
So you actually walk through the house, turn down every electrical machine and check the fuse if it still causes a problem. Okay.
For example, go to the kitchen,
so it's really
put out all sockets, remove everything, then put in the fuse again, and then plug again the machines, and you see, okay, and then we enter the coffee machine and watch the fuse is out. So no, this one.
So it's really a way more manual approach to everything, really. Not only moving stuff, but also to troubleshooting electrical systems and so on. Will there be anything like we talked about painting of walls, for example. We talked about floorboards. Will there be something more invasive, like setting new doors, for example, which I know in Europe it's not so
It's
prevalent,
not really common. I haven't seen it once in my life. Oh well, once I did when our cats destroyed our doors.
So what we really do is the simpler one is removing the old doors and door frames and put new ones in. This is the simpler one. But also we have the task to create a whole wall.
To break down a wall.
Break down the wall to insert a new door here. So then you have a big machine and then try.
Is it drilling? I wouldn't say it's drilling.
Almost jackhammers.
Right. Jackhammering a hole into the wall and actually why
making much dirt and dust in the
an interesting point on the jacking, creating holes in walls for you is like you actually see the different layers of the wall. It's not like
quite interesting experience. We made it early beginning, so you can see in the front you see the wallpaper. Whenever I try to move doan and you see go deeper into the wall, okay, here is the first layer, the little bit concrete, and then you have the brick walls behind it, and on the other, the opposite things again. Yeah? So you can really see that we work into the wall, and this per pixels and not only big blocks coming out or so on. This is quite interesting. It works very well. Yeah.
That sounds like a really ambitious project. I'm looking forward how this is going to turn out. Now, my favorite question with every developer is, do we have some sort of a release timeline?
Not 100% yet. So we talked here on this event now, and currently Aerosoft and me we're thinking about we will take the whole rest of the year to continue working on it, and let's see an earliest possible release in the beginning of the next year, but nothing really concrete.
That sounds like a plan. Andre, thanks for having you.
We shared some great news with you this year.
But that's it. Thanks, Alex, for joining.
And thank you for having me.
See you next year.